This is a CBC podcast. With great new shows, podcasts, concerts on demand, and internet music channels, there are so many ways to enjoy the new CBC Radio 2. Go to cbc.ca/radio 2 for a music mix you won't hear anywhere else. CBC Radio 2, everywhere music takes you.
We here at the Vinyl Cafe spent the first few weeks of September sifting through the letters and emails that have come in over the past 12 months, reading all the nominations. We read some lovely stories of kindness and selflessness, stories like the one we began with today about Maxine Montgomery, who loaned her car to my friend Jill out of the blue when they met in the Saskatoon airport. We always look forward to reading these letters. It's one of my favorite jobs of the year. But it seemed especially important this year, and I thought I'd tell you why. I think the North American media, and I'm speaking of both the entertainment industry and the news bureaus who frame the world for us, I think the North American media have, over the last 50-odd years, framed our view of the world in a most unhelpful way. We have been told over and over again, in both direct and indirect ways, that the world is not a safe place. A proposition I fundamentally disagree with, which is not, I hasten to say, to imply that there are not dangerous people out there or even dangerous states. It is a complex and complicated world, sometimes sad, often frustrating, full of intrigue and intricacy. But the simple fact is, we are not surrounded by enemies. And the vast majority of people you might meet, here or there or anywhere, would lend a hand in help rather than in harm, if they were to raise a hand at all. Yet these stories, the stories of people like Maxine and Jill, are not the stories we hear or see. Consider all those police shows and reality shows and talk shows. They add up. Consider the movie chosen by the Academy of Motion Picture Artists last year as the best of the year, the best America could do. No Country for Old Men. It was a movie of unspeakable violence, and it left me, anyway, with one lesson. And that was to question my instinct to stop at the edge of a highway if I ever saw anyone in distress, ever again. The strangers our schools teach our children to avoid are more apt to help than harm them. Yet here in Canada, various politicians and police forces serving their own self-interests have warned us about rising crime rates when the reverse is true. But we buy into the fear and hover around our children like Secret Service agents. And instead of sending them next door to call on someone, we arrange play dates as if we were social secretaries rather than moms and dads. We have bought this danger story hook, line, and sinker. And in so doing, we've robbed our children of childhood. I fell for it too, which is probably why I feel so strongly about this. It's worth pointing out that it's not just the media who should be held to account. Political leaders have been equally adept at this game. It served more than one leader to paint the world as a dangerous place, to point to the enemies hovering around us. Any person who has traveled widely would tell you otherwise, would tell you this world is full of men and women just like you. Men and women who are anxious to look after themselves and provide for their families and muddle through to the end as best they can. There are not armies huddled on our borders in the darkness. And if there are, they are the armies of the hungry and the dispossessed. And yes, again, there are bad guys, and yes, it's a tricky business navigating the ship of state. But any political leader who tries to tell you it's time to circle the wagons is trying to sell you a bill of goods. Forgive me for going on, but it's not said enough, and I'll say it again. The world is a good place, full of good people. And when we act out of that, when we act out of hope and optimism and faith in our fellow man, we act out of our best selves, and we are capable of doing great things, of contributing to the greater good. Hope and optimism are not synonymous with naivete. We should be looking to the future with flinty and steely eyes for sure, but they should be wide open with hope, not squinting in fear. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. If it's evildoers you seek, you'll find them aplenty. If it's enemies that you want, they are there too. But if you want the truth is, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God.
For more on all of our CBC podcasts, head to cbc.ca/podcasting.